Hello everyone, we are Rufai and today we will present on India's current relation with China. Our presentation will focus mainly on the economic and political aspects of this relationship, highlighting both cooperation and challenges between the two countries. India and China are two of the largest countries in Asia, both in terms of population and economic influence. Over the past decades, their relationship has been complex, combining elements of trade and investment with political tension and strategic competition. The objective of our presentation are help you understand the main opportunities and challenges in India and China relations. We will analyze both the economic cooperation that benefit both nations, as well as the political tension that create obstacles. To give you a clear overview, our presentation is divided into several sessions. First, we will look at the economic relation between India and China, including trade, investment, and technology. Then we will move on to the political and strategic aspects, such as border disputes, alliances. Finally, we will discuss the challenges and opportunities that exist today and conclude with a summary of key points.
Hello everyone, in this part of our presentation, I will discuss the current economic relationship between China and India. China and India are two of the world's fastest growing economies, and their economic relationship is both highly important and highly complex. Today, China is India's largest trading partner, and the bilateral trade reached $136 billion in 2022. China mainly exports electronics, machinery, and pharmaceutical ingredients to India, while India exports raw materials such as iron ore, cotton, and seafood. However, a major challenge in their economic relationship is a large trade imbalance. India imports far more than it exports, and the trade deficit has reached nearly $100 billion. Many in India worry that this dependence gives China too much economic influence. Another key area is technology and investment. In the last decade, Chinese companies such as Alibaba, Tencent, Xiaomi, and TikTok invested heavily in the Indian market. But after the 2020 Galvin volleyball clash, India banned more than 200 Chinese apps and introduced strict rules on foreign investment, limiting China's role in its technology sector. These are the economic relationship between China and India. That's all. Thank you.
China-India economic relations. In 2024, China's exports to India increased a growth of 2.4%, whilst imports from India declined 3%. This is in China's favor. As a result of China-India trade, it brought the total bilateral trade in 2024 to 2025 to around $138.48 billion USD. India's trade deficit rose to $99 billion between the 2024 and 2025 period. And China provides price-competitive manufacturing, especially for electronics and green technology, to India.
Okay, so hi, my name is Gagandeep Kaur, and now I'm talking about the political relations between China and India. China share a long and common political relation that has been shaped mainly by geopolitics and their shared borders. One of the biggest sources of tension is ongoing Himalayan dispute. This became even more serious after the 2020 Galwan Valley clash, which led to a major issue of trust between the countries. Despite these challenges, both nations continue diplomatic engagement through forums, high-level meetings, and various agreements. Recently, there have been also efforts to reduce tensions through communication and de-escalation the talks.
Now I'm going to talk about some other political issues between China and India. So the first, it's visa and media restrictions. After the 2020 Galwan clash, India made it harder for Chinese journalists, researchers, and business workers to get their visas. In response, China limited visas for Indian media in Beijing. This makes it harder for both countries to communicate and adds to the tension. The second is China's influence in neighboring countries. China is getting more involved in countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. India sees this as a threat because it affects India's influence in the region. This creates political problems even beyond the border issues. And the last one I'm going to talk about is about security and intelligence concerns. So, India is watching Chinese tech and telecom companies closely because of fears about data security and spying. Some Chinese companies have had delays or restrictions in India. This shows that the political rivalry is not just about borders, it's also about technology and security. So, overall, these points show that even though China and India still trade and talk sometimes, there is a lot of political mistrust. The tension affects border, regional influence, media, and security too.
For my section, I'll be explaining the main challenges and opportunities in India China relations today. Starting with the challenges. The first major challenge is the ongoing territorial disputes in Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh. These disagreements have been going on for decades and continue to cause border instability because both countries claim the same areas. Another key issue is that the line of actual control is not fully marked, meaning the border is not clearly marked. This leads to miscommunication and overlapping patrols, creating a constant risk of military standoffs and clashes, as seen in recent years. Economically, India faces a large trade deficit with China, which creates economic vulnerability. India imports a lot of Chinese products, especially electronics and industrial materials, making it dependent on these supply chains. There are also regulatory barriers that limit Indian exports to China. Many Indian companies struggle to access the Chinese market due to strict standards and restriction, which prevents balanced trade. Another challenge is the strategic rivalry in Asia, where both nations want influence in the region. This competition leads to mutual distrust, especially in areas like security, foreign policy, and investment. And finally, despite ongoing diplomatic talks, there is still weak business to business cooperation. While government level discussions continue, practical economic partnership on the ground remains limited, slowing progress. Opportunities. However, there are also important opportunities for cooperation. First, India and China maintain strong bilateral trade with high growth potential. Both economies benefit from this trade relationship, and there's room for expansion. There are major cooperation opportunities in manufacturing, electronics, energy, and infrastructure. By combining China's production capabilities with India's growing market, both sides could create significant economic benefits. Another opportunity is the possibility for improved supply chain and investment partnerships, which could make trade more stable and efficient for both countries. In 2025, there was a diplomatic reset where renewed talks focused on stabilizing relations and preventing further escalation. These meetings show that both sides are still open to dialogue. India and China also collaborate through BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, working together on global governance issues, development goals, and regional security. Finally, recent border de escalation steps have created space for long term stability. If both countries continue reducing tensions, it could lead to a more predictable and cooperative relationship in the future. Overall, India China relations face clear challenges, but there are also meaningful opportunities if both nations continue working towards stability and cooperation.
To conclude, the relationship between India and China is shaped by both cooperation and competition. Economically, they remain important trading partners, even though issues like trade imbalance and investment restriction create challenges. Politically, broader tension and strategic rivalries continue to affect their interactions, especially in areas like national security and regional influence. Overall, India and China must balance economic needs with political conscience. Their future relations will depend on how well both sides manage conflict while still finding areas for cooperation.